The New York State Office of Addiction Services and Supports, or OASAS, provides this podcast as a public service. Opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the agency or state. This is Addiction, the Next Step.
Hey everybody, Jerry Gretzinger, your host for Addiction, the Next Step, the podcast brought to you by the New York State Office of Addiction Services and Supports. We thank you for checking out this episode. And today, I'll tell you, we always love talking to people who have really motivating and inspiring stories to share, and we've got just one of those today to share with you. I want to introduce Anthony Cole. He's joining us here. He works as the Senior Peer Coordinator at VIP Services in the Bronx. Anthony, thanks so much for taking time to sit down with us today.
Thanks for having me, Jerry. I really appreciate you acknowledging this. Thank you so much.
We appreciate you joining us, and I think people will understand why very quickly. Just recently, Anthony was recognized as a Peer Specialist of the Year, and this is a big deal because they only have a handful of people who get this distinction, and Anthony was that guy recently. And today he's joining us to talk not just about that, but what brought him to that point. And Anthony, I know it's as anyone who is currently a peer and works in this line of work, they often have a story to tell, and you definitely have a story which I think is important for people to hear. And again, as we said before, it can be inspiring, motivating, and I want to have, first of all, congratulations on the award.
Thank you very much again.
It's tremendous, and I want to just have you go back now and talk to us about let's not start with the work you do. Talk to us about where your story began, because I'm hoping what we can do is make a connection with others who are out there listening, who may be living with substance use of some kind, and there's always that question, can I do this? Can I get into treatment? Can I begin a life of recovery? And that's what you were able to do, but I think your story is important because it wasn't like a overnight success. You had to work at it to make it happen. So let me stop talking and let you start talking. Take us back in Anthony's life to where it all began.
My history, I had many years of substance abuse, and it was very prevalent in my family back in the 70s and 80s. My uncles and aunts had used drugs occasionally and drank. Some of them had issues, some of them didn't. But I grew up around it. I lived in Washington Heights. That's Upper Manhattan by 193rd and St. Nicholas Avenue, which is very drug-infested, and they call it one of the cocaine capitals of New York. So growing up, I saw a lot of it while I was in high school. But since I played football, I was able to get out, go to college, and still dib and dab and fool around and thinking that I'm in control and I can do this, I can do that. And then I went into the military after all that and still thinking it was okay to do this once in a while and just not having any consequences for my actions was a lot of my story in the beginning. My mother had passed away when I was 15. I took care of my brother and sister, helped raise them. And always said to them, don't smoke pot, don't do this, don't do that. But yet I was doing it. And for many years when I was married, I continued using on and off. And I didn't need a hard feeling or a bad feeling to use. I just used.
Right.
And I continued using and never seeked help. Never thought that, I would stop. And then, after going to being incarcerated a couple of times, I was on a bus coming home from Florida because I got incarcerated in Florida. And I'm saying to myself, I can't live like this anymore. I can't put my family through this, getting removed from my family, not having any friends that can count on me, and just feeling like, I was lost. So I came back to New York and I said, I got to do something different. I went to an outpatient program at one of our local hospitals, which is called Jacoby Hospital in the Bronx. I was a part of their outpatient program. And one of their counselors said, hey, Anthony, everybody seems to listen to you when you're talking. You should become a recovery coach. I said, nah, I don't think I can do that, He goes, Anthony, give it a try. Because I knew nothing about harm reduction. I knew nothing about people living with the disease. I knew about methadone and Suboxone because I don't, like I said, that I used. But my story was taking me to a point of using cocaine, drinking alcohol, but saying, at least I'm not doing heroin. And that wasn't even what my mind was thinking. My mind was, I'm just going to do it until I die, I guess. But with all that guilt I was having and just feeling like not being connected with anything, I would stand in a room with 70 men at attention. I felt like I was alone and couldn't wait until I went out to drink at night or waited till I separated myself from what I had signed up.
Anthony, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to jump in because I know you talked a little bit about how, when you were younger, you used a little bit here, you used a little bit there. You played football, you kept using a little bit here and there. You were in the military, we're using a little bit here and there. And then you said came a point where you started getting incarcerated. So I want to go back and kind of expand a little bit. I mean, so it went from, because, we do hear from some people, right? They're like, oh, well, I use recreationally. I use a little bit here. I use it every so often, but it's not a problem for me. So when did it go from, like you said, you were younger, I try a little bit of this, I try a little bit of that. When did it, or how did it get to the point where it became more of a concern, more of a common occurrence for you to be using, to where you got to the point of being incarcerated?
I started noticing I was working 2 jobs just to feed my habit, and using all the time, even though I was paying bills with my wife and the kids and taking care of them, I just felt like I was chasing the drug, and I was never getting satisfied. I was always on that roller coaster, up and down, up and down. Then I started getting arrested, and the consequences started coming like a roller coaster to me, and I wasn't ready for them. So once I would be removed, I would get this sadness and depression and not know how to address it. So like I was saying, when I got back into Jacoby Hospital and I did that outpatient program, I did that outpatient program, I met a lot of interesting people that were in recovery, and they knew about Narcotics Anonymous and other groups like that. And it's funny because 36 years ago, I drove my cousin to Phoenix House at 2 o'clock in the morning, and he has 36 years clean, and I have 10.
Wow, well, that's great.
You know what I'm saying?
2 good stories.
I'm great and happy, but I say, wow, he stayed with it. Because he goes, won't you come with me, Anthony? And I was like, I don't need it. But, in reality, I did.
Right.
That's what we're talking about. The hardness came in, and the desperation, and just feeling alone, and nothing is ever good enough. Whether if I got a trophy like this 10 years ago, I would have said it was the ugliest thing in the world.
Yeah, you have a trophy.
I don't deserve it. Yep, I would have said I don't deserve it.
See, there he's got it. So if you're listening to the podcast,
this is the trophy they gave me.
Yeah,
and this is the plaque.
Oh, that's great. If you were listening to the podcast, you'll have to check out the video version. You can go to YouTube and check it out, because he's showing us right now the plaque and the trophy, which is tremendous. For good work being
and it's
recognized.
Heavy.
well, that means it's good, right? It's heavy. It's good.
Yeah. And it's amazing, because I went to the NatCon, National Wellbeing Conference, and all that stuff, and I'm meeting all these people that are in recovery. Rob Lowe was there. And he's talking to us about how he had to recover and how he had to change his life, and how he had to make decisions that were crucial to him being better. Because I keep saying to myself, the first thing they tell you on the airplane, put the mask on yourself before you can put it on anybody. Yeah. And I live that every day, because I know if I'm not good to myself right now and I'm not doing the right things, for Anthony, how can I help John in the park that hasn't eaten lunch in 2 days? I give out 50 lunches every day. And I see people in the park, they're coming out with their kids so they can be their meal for the day.
Yeah. Hey, Anthony,
it makes my heart.
Anthony, I don't want to keep going back, but I want to make sure that I get something that I think may be useful to other people who are listening to this. I know you said that it got to the point you had been using a little bit at a time, and then you found yourself working a second job just so that you could sort of keep, feeding your habit. So at that time of your life, now, looking back, you can acknowledge, okay, it was getting out of control. It was using more frequently. It was becoming an issue. At that time, though, did you still say to people, oh, I just use every now and then? Oh, it's still an occasional thing. It's not a problem. Is that what you were saying at the time?
100%. I thought of myself as a recreational user until it started becoming Sunday night football, Monday night football, Tuesday basketball, Wednesday baseball. I was a sports fan, and I was getting high every night. It was 7 days a week. I went to rehab. Never had to do a detox, because for cocaine, there's no detox. So we did the rehab. I would get out after 30 days. On the 50th day, I was going back out and picking up, because I wasn't working on myself. And I wasn't making that change I need to make so my life can improve and I can be better to other people and be better to myself. Yeah. I kept making bad choices.
Do you find in the work that you do now that a lot of people find themselves in a similar situation where, when they first start out trying something like this, they don't have an intention of having it be a problem that gets out of their control, but that's where it winds up?
What I find is that if they're not working on themselves and they're just staying abstinent, not doing drugs, but not peeling the onion and not talking to another human being about how they're feeling and what was the low point of their life, and acknowledging those feelings and the days of disparity of feeling like nobody cares, nobody loves. And you're doing it to yourself because you're removing yourself from situations where you can be loved because you're chasing the dragon, chasing the drugs.
Yeah.
And when I talk to these news guys, I tell them, remember, this is temporary. When you get out of the rehab in 9 months, I don't ever have to see you again if you don't want to. But you can do the best you can to stay away, and that's by staying clean and getting on a new journey. Yeah. People, places, and things was a big trigger for me. I have uncles I love, cousins I love, ex-football players I know that use it. I can't hang out with them. I can't go visit them. And I choose not to because I don't want to put myself at risk.
Right.
And VIP has helped me stay that way just by working with people every day and saying, "For there go I." I'm that close to feeling like that again. Yeah. And I have to keep my feelings and my mind in tune of saying, of convincing myself that I'm never going to pick up again because I don't know the true answer to that. And we never know the answer to that. But we know just for today, I'm going to make better choices and I'm going to talk to people and try to help them and continue to support them. I bring them clothes. I bring them food, like I said, and it makes me feel good because this gift of recovery was given to me free. And I have to be able to give it back to somebody so I can keep it.
Yeah, and you definitely.
Do you understand what I mean, Jerry?
I do. I totally know what you mean. We
every day I'm out there.
Yeah.
We were at the National Council convention this year, and I was with my son. He's 34 years old.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a drug habit, doesn't none of that. And we're going into the elevator, and the guy passes out. I said, "Give me the Narcan." Boom. We saved him. He goes, "Dad, what are you doing?" I was like, "Don't worry." He's like, "Don't touch that guy." Stigma. Right. Getting in your feelings. And I'm like, and I'm not mad at him. I just said, "Son, you got to remember, they're human just like you." Yeah. And when you can see the human side of working with a person who's addicted to substances or mental health, suffering with mental health, it can help you a lot to be able to relate. Because I needed somebody to relate to Anthony so I can feel comfortable. Because the only two people in my life that related to me was my high school football coach and my mother. She passed away and he passed away.
Yeah.
Who else is going to relate to me? Because I know when I was using, I wasn't relating to myself. I was just existing.
Well, you just said, who else can relate to me? And I'm thinking there's probably a lot of people listening to you now telling your story who can relate to you and say,
yes.
I kind of know where he was. I know where he's at. Let me ask you this, too. I know you said is your cousin who's 36 years in recovery?
Clean, yep.
All right. So, and you said you're 10. I was looking at some of the details of your story. Did you have a period in your life where you were able to be in recovery and then had a situation where you went back to use again and had to kind of put it back together again?
So 2 or 3 different times I would have 2 years, clean, 24 months steady, and then somebody would pass away and I would go out and use. Like that for me was a sign like, okay, go party. I don't know why, but that's what I related it to. Get out of your feelings and just disappear.
Yeah.
And then another time I had 18 months. And then when I was, incarcerated, I had 2 years prior to that, not using, getting incarcerated for an old violation that I was still clean. And I said, man, now I'm in jail and I'm clean. What the hell? And I wound up doing 4 years at that time.
Oh, wow.
Altogether, I'm not using. And I still went out and used because I didn't feel like I was ready to stop.
Oh. And
I had to really do a rude awakening this last time and just say, you can't live like this anymore, Anthony. Look at what you're putting your family through. Look at what you're putting yourself through. You're in your emotions. You were never like that in high school. I would knock someone down on the football field. I'm 6'5", 300 pounds, and I would chuckle. Now I'm only in my feelings. I don't think I could do that anymore. Yeah. Now I'm picking people up when they need to be lifted. I lift them up and try to show them that, you can make a change, but you got to want this more than anything.
You talked about your son, I think, right?
Yeah.
And so
34 years old.
What you talked about family, right? And about how you thought about, what this is doing to my family and I want to keep my family together. Am I correct that was your son graduating at one point and that was one of the moments that made you sit back and say, I need to do better for myself and for them?
So he was graduating from college and I went down to Florida with 2 years clean and I got arrested again. And then I came back after I did 2 years for the violation. Yeah. I was on that bus and I was saying, wow, man, I got removed from them again. I had the opportunity to be a part of something that was bigger than me, his graduation. I saw it, and then I got arrested, but not for breaking the law, for a traffic violation.
Right.
And my name came up, and, I put the handcuffs on, and I said, I got to do what I got to do. I went in, I did it, But, I was just thinking on the bus ride home from Florida, I was saying, man, I got to stop. I'm going to die. I don't want to do this. And I kept whispering to myself, talking to myself, your father died of an overdose and nobody was there to help him. Because Narcan wasn't around in 1966. I'm born in 1965. My mother passed away at the age of 34. And, a lot of substances and other, sicknesses were a part of her story. But, I can make a difference, maybe live a little longer, try to help a few more people. Now's the time to do it, Anthony. You have a chance. And it has stuck with me. Because, it's at VIP, I have the opportunity to do all this.
Yeah.
And I have the opportunity to go work at a job in Manhattan where they say they do this, they do that. But at VIP, the people in my community where I was brought up and raised, I need to be around them so it can remind me every day of what's going on. And I call my son and I tell him, I love you, man. I'm proud of you.
And, you talk about the job that you do, and you lift people up when they're down, they need to be lifted up, and about how much of an impact you're making. And I want to point out, you said that when you first thought about doing this type of work, you thought, I don't know, I can't do that. But now you do a great deal of that. You're not only doing VIP, but don't you also work with local police? And if somebody gets brought in for substance use,
my other job is with the Bronx Heroin Overdose Prevention Education, which is an intervention to court system. So if a person in the Bronx gets arrested for a minor drug charge, I'm excited when I talk about it. I'm the first peer in the Bronx to be hired for this program 6 years ago, and it's been life-changing for me. Because I see people where I was. And the amazing thing is the first precinct I went to is the last precinct I was arrested at.
Oh, wow.
Because, God has a way of doing things and putting you in places where you don't think you should be. Yeah. But when I walked out, I said, man, I'm not in handcuffs this time. I got to keep coming back.
Yeah.
And it's called the Bronx Heroin Overdose Prevention Program. And we're with the Bronx Community Solutions over at the courthouse. We sit at the precinct sometimes. And when people get arrested, I go, hey, Bill, how you doing, man? What's going on? What's a barrier from keeping you to, I don't have money to get to detox. I'll pick you up in an hour. Sit with me. And I'll call somebody, hey, can you come and get Bill? Let's take him here. And we have people leave straight from the precinct and see me 6 months later. They look like they had a baby boy. I go, yo, Jose, what's going on? He goes, oh, Anthony, now I have blood pressure. I said, it's better than having an addiction to crack. And we talk about this stuff all the time, me and the guys, because I see them at my program because I refer them to come here. Yep. And they go, you saved my life when you met me at the precinct. Because I curse them out if I have to meet them at 10 o'clock at night when the Giants are playing. I go, man, how to get up from the Giants? What are you doing going out to get high on a Saturday night? But in a joking and caring way.
Right.
And they start talking, and then next thing you know, they're getting help. Some of them say no. Some of them say, I'm not ready yet. I go, here's my card. When you're ready, give us a call. We're not going to fail you. We need to hear that. And I've had guys... Go ahead, Jerry.
No, I was going to say, you're talking about something that we take so seriously here. It's about, you said, we're trying to, you are trying to get rid of the barriers that some of them face. Say,
yes,
well, I can't
the barriers.
I'll pick you up.
Yeah, I don't speak English. Yo hablo español. I'll learn Greek if I had to on a translator to fill out this piece of paper.
Yeah.
I've done it with a Russian guy. He told me his whole life story in 7 minutes. It was horrible. But you know what? I was able to get the translation, and we got him help.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's what it's about.
That is so key because, again, people who want to start that journey, if there's a barrier in the way, that can be, one small thing that somebody could help out like you are doing, but it could hold them back.
Here goes a great example. The woman told me, I need somebody to take care of my cat. I said, all right. I made a phone call the next day, adopt an animal, temporarily sheltered the cat for 30 days while she went to rehab. Wow. That's one less thing they have to worry about so they can think about themselves. My kids need help. Go on, we're going to get you the help. But if you're not there for you, how can you be there for them? Right. And self-care, like I learned here, self-care is important. I learned it at VIP.
Yeah. And so many things like that I just don't think a lot of people realize can be such a game changer to help someone.
Impactful.
Yeah.
And you see it on their face because they're used to the door going boom.
Right.
Or you're an addict, just go back out. Do what you know. I tell them, do something different.
Anthony,
get on the train, go to the Brooklyn Bridge, walk it, come back and hang a lock on it and come back in 2 years to see it. If you don't get incarcerated within that 2 years, you're doing something right. Yeah. I tell them stuff like that.
I got to tell you, we love hearing stories like the one you're sharing with us today. Not just about your journey with coming from substance use yourself and how well you're doing, but the fact that you're using that experience to help others. You're doing what you can to remove barriers so others can get on that journey and stay on that journey. And we want to point out, too, recovery, as you know, not a destination. It continues to be a journey.
It's a continued journey, one day at a time, 1 minute. I've had to do 1 second at a time. A big tip I have is when I feel like I used to get itchy, I would mail myself my debit card because I knew I would get it in 3 days and I had no access to money. And maybe that might have been just mental for Anthony, but it seemed to have worked.
It's whatever,
and today I have some money in the bank. I'm going to see my sons in Florida July 15th for a couple of weeks. 10, 12 years ago, I wasn't thinking about going to visit anybody. I was thinking about Anthony and what he was going to do. What's the next thing he could think of? Today I said, I got to get up for work tomorrow. I got to do this. I got to do that. The thing with the NYPD, I have New York City cops' phone numbers in my phone when I used to run from them, and I'm dating an ex-cop.
Wow.
And she keeps me in line. Her name is Sandy. She's my angel.
Yeah.
She's helped me get to where I need to be and trying to become the better person, because I'm not perfect.
Well, Anthony,
and I know that.
Sounds like you've been an angel for a lot of people yourself. And so, again,
I'm trying,
congratulations on your journey.
Thank you, Jerry.
The work you're doing.
You guys made my day, made my week. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you. You guys are awesome.
So, listen, I just want to say again, great work. Everybody, listen to Anthony's story, his experience. And I'm sure if anybody, down in your neck of the woods is hearing this and says, I got to talk to that guy, I'm sure they'll have no problem finding you.
100%. Come to VIP, 770 East 176th Street. We're a methadone program, health service program, wellness program. I'm also a veteran. I'm the diverse veteran to be with the Veteran Support Recovery Professional in the state of New York. And I do veteran groups on Wednesdays at 12 o'clock. And I do groups in a men's shelter down in Manhattan, mental health and substance abuse.
You've made it.
I'm trying to stay busy, man. I'm trying to stay busy.
Thank you, Anthony.
Jerry, I love you, man. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So I'm going to give out some information here really quick. If anybody's looking for some services or supports, you can always find it on our website. It's oasas.ny.gov, oasas.ny.gov. And also, if you're looking for some help right now, you can see Anthony's sharing some information on his business card there. So take a look at that. And if you want to pick up the phone and talk to someone immediately, 877-8-HOPE-NY. And there'll be somebody there who can assist as well. Thanks for checking out this episode of the podcast. We'll see you again next time. And until then, be well.